Hey there, superstar. If you're interested in running a spiritual retreat, it's a little bit different from other types of retreats. Let's talk about how to do it in this video. Running a retreat is a very unique and rewarding experience. In this video, I'm going to start with talking about one of the key things that I think is the most important in leading an effective spiritual retreat. And then I'm going to walk you through the specific steps that I use when I lead clients through some sort of spiritually transformational journey. Let's go. Now, I'm not going to run through all the different things that you might need to think about to run a retreat. I have plenty of videos. In fact, I just recorded one a few minutes ago about how to host a retreat. So if you want logistics and planning, go see that video. What I want to talk about in this video is something very specific. And it is essentially, once you know who the people are that are coming to your spiritual retreat, it's how to design a transformational experience for them that's going to really change them, transform them, create something new and lasting in their lives. Now, I'm not a spiritual mentor, or I guess I wouldn't call myself one. And I still lead clients through spiritual retreats all the time. I'm not the guru who's sitting up on the mountaintop showing people how to be more spiritual, but what I am doing is leading people through a series of conversations, activities, and experiences that help them tap into their own spiritual nature more deeply. And I know how to lead them through that, and I also know how to help people integrate that. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you. And so I'll start by saying that one of the biggest things that comes up in these retreats is people have some sort of resistance. People, even ones that are open and ready, even subconsciously, there can be things that come up of a little bit of a fear of like, what am I going to uncover? How far are we going to go? Am I going to see things I don't like? Even if it's just subconscious, we can run into fear, run into resistance. And so the way that I have found over many years now of overcoming that resistance is by designing what I call the trajectory of transformation. Now, the trajectory of transformation, I designed it basically to help highly intelligent, rational, logical people be able to open up enough to have a spiritual experience. And I guess I figured this out from my own experience of being a very highly achieving, rational, logical person who was hungry to have deeper, more meaningful experiences. So how the transformation trajectory works is that it starts in a space where there's less resistance. It starts right here with the mind. In our day and age, in this culture that we're in, people are usually pretty comfortable talking about concepts and ideas. So whatever the theme is of my retreat, of the spiritual retreat, I generally start by just bringing the theme in as a concept so that we have a conversation. So I'll give you an example. I led a retreat a couple years ago for a group of men and women that was all about embracing and embodying more of the divine feminine qualities. And so this is kind of a spiritual concept, divine masculine, divine feminine, these divine archetypal masculine and feminine energies. And we talked about, I brought in the original concept about how so much of our world is geared in or based in the masculine archetypal energies. And so the whole concept of the weekend was going to be about opening to these feminine energies. And of course, the men in the room felt some degree of resistance. But what we did was we started with the mind. We started with a conversation, and it was a very open and engaging conversation. So one of the first things you want to do is to establish the ground rules of that conversation, what I call the pre-frame of the event. And the pre-frame is what basically establishes, hey, you're safe here, everything's confidential, what happens here stays here, all the ground rules of the experience. And then it opens up the conversation for people to share from their heart what is true about this concept. So we start with the mind. And I usually spend the first half of the first day all in the mind. From the mind, the transformation trajectory moves next into the body. So we go from having a mental conversation to having a physical experience. We get the blood moving. Generally, we go on a walk or a hike. We go see a waterfall. We get outside. We get in touch with our senses, right? The smells of the air and the breeze on our skin, the sun out, whatever I can do to help them connect to their body. So it's mind first, then body. From that body, and then while we're doing the embodiment experience, of course, people are talking. They're still activating their mind. So now they're activating the mind and the body at the same time. Before I continue with my steps for hosting a spiritual retreat, I want to take a moment and invite you to like this video, subscribe to my channel, because it helps me to get more views. Thank you. The next day, usually, we start to dive a little deeper, and now we go into heart space. Now we start to talk about feelings and emotions. And I'll bring in tools or techniques or stories or videos or music or rituals that are designed to help open the heart. So for example, it might be a special activity where people get into smaller groups and they have deeper conversations, perhaps about their childhood or something that happened in the past, or things that touch their heart, right? So we dive into the heart, and then from the heart, we go back to some physical movement. We'll do a yoga, or we'll do something outside, or we'll move our bodies. Doesn't have to be a long thing. It's just to reactivate that physical piece. So it's mind, body, heart. Now we've got all three firing, right? And then usually by then, day 2, day 3, we start moving into the deeper realms. And this is where I might bring in something like meditation practice or some sort of spiritual practice connected with something beyond ourselves. So I might bring in a practitioner, bring in somebody that's going to lead us through a sound healing, something that's going to bring together all these aspects. And then the rest is a mystery. I can't tell you any more than that. And then finally, the last part of the transformation trajectories, once we've connected to that which is beyond us, that's when we start to bring in integration practices. So these are practices to weave it all together. And this is where I admonish people, or I advise people, don't overpack your retreats with too much. You need people to have space to integrate and make sense of their experience. In a great spiritual retreat, my opinion, the result is that someone has come out with a deeper sense of self, a deeper connection to the divine, a deeper connection to other humans. Somebody leaves transformed. But that doesn't happen if they pop right back into their regular life, if they don't have any integration time. So I highly recommend either setting aside a whole day for integration or asking your attendees to set aside time after the retreat for their integration. I hope this was helpful for you. If you're interested in learning how not only to lead retreats, but also how to create a business for yourself leading retreats, then I can help. I do this for people. I'm a coach for other speakers, authors, and thought leaders who want to lead groups and group programs, masterminds, retreats of all types. You can find out more at my Business Breakthrough Retreat website, which is superstarbusinessbreakthrough.com.